Hello, my name is Terry Haynes, and despite what I notice I'm wearing, Sai is my role model. I have kind of a serious, not kind of, I have a very serious topic to want to discuss. And the topic is what should the United States do in the event of an EMP attack? And specifically, what should the church do? The church, in my opinion, is the missing ingredient to the preparation for such an event. First of all, what is an EMP attack? For those of you who are not aware of it, EMP stands for electromagnetic pulse, and it's a nuclear blast in the air. And you see on the ground, you see this big mushroom cloud appear in the air, and also designed for this. It can be something entirely different, and that is it can put forth EMP, electromagnetic pulse, of such a type that it will fry anything that has a circuit board. It will also fry anything where the wires are, where there's lengthy wires. That means all of our electrical system. It's going to take the electricity, it's going to feed it back into the posts, I'll think of the word in a minute, and transformer, and it's going to blow the transformer. Now those are not even made in the United States. We would need millions of them all at once. They're made in China, as I understand it, and also I think Thailand. Not made here in the United States at all. We could not quickly fix this. Probably it's going to ruin all of the electrical transmission plants, ruin it. And so we're going to be out of electricity, not a day or two or a week, but we're going to be out of electricity for between 18 months and 3 years. Now, as I mentioned, it will also ruin anything that has an electrical, or that has a circuit board. Anything that's solid state. Now think about that. That's just about every electrical appliance you own. Your radio, gone. Your cell phone, gone. The transmission to the tower, I said it grabs a hold of anything that's electrical. That transmission power is going to put a big feedback for ruining that transmission tower for your cell phone. Everything that's gone. I'm going to go into some specific details of what it's going to ruin in a minute, but I want to put a war game together for you. I was thinking, how could this happen? And I was thinking, well, if I were an enemy, I almost hate to do this because it's as if I could make it happen, but I can't make it happen. I'm convinced of that, and to not prepare for it because it's too scary to prepare for is ridiculous. But here's the wartime scenario that I put together. If somebody wanted to use this as an attack for us, they would probably do 2 missiles, one from the East Coast, one from the West Coast, try to put them in there, and then they would ruin most of our electrical structure. The problem with this is that every other part of our infrastructure is built on the electrical structure. We can repair just about anything unless it's the electrical structure going down real bad like this. And so here's the wartime scenario I put together. Something like this. 2 missiles come out. The one on the East Coast hits, and in that area there will be no electricity. And let's say the one on the West Coast gets shot down by our ICBMs or whatever system we have. So there it is, but half of the United States is without electricity. Now that's the wartime scenario I'm putting together, just pretending, and trying to figure out what would happen. Here's a quote, and here's the name of the government report. It's the report, a long title, Report of the Commission to Assess a Threat to the United States from Electromagnetic Pulse Attack, EMP attack. And also, I'm not sure whether this is the name of the people who did it, but Critical National Infrastructures. the report is that up to 9 out of 10 Americans would die by starvation and societal collapse. Now, let me give you an example. We wouldn't be prepared for it. Again, this is heavy stuff. This is difficult stuff. But I want to put together what I think is a plausible, possible building solution to this sort of thing. The government does not seem to be either they're not able to handle this crisis, or more likely it's just not their not something they particularly can do. I'll explain that more of that later. Let's imagine something. Mom, Dad, and grandmother living in and 3 kids living in one house, and mother, there's a family function coming up and sisters flying in. So the day begins. The 3 children go to 3 different schools, all of them about 5 miles away. Let's just make that up. The husband goes to work 25 miles away. The mother is on the way to the airport with grandma about 10 miles away, and boom, this happens. The car doesn't work. Your cell phone doesn't work. The car doesn't work because it has solid state in it. Your cell phone doesn't work. The electrical grid is completely down. Now, what do we do at this point? The first 72 hours is just going to be absolute chaos. Imagine a situation like this. We have 3 children in 3 schools. The schools don't know what to do with the kids. Everything's down. They can't drive away from there. The buses don't work. What do they do with the kids? Good question. Not sure I know the answer. Mom is not home. And the way I built the story, Mom is with Grandma. Grandma can't walk real well. Let's say it's in the middle of winter. Now it's worse. People don't have heat. Dad's at work. He can't get home. He's 25 miles away. He's going to have to walk home because there is no transportation structure. What do we do? Chaos. Now, the other thing that's happening is the very quickly you begin to understand that the rest of the grid that keeps us alive and well is beginning to break down. Now, I want to put a couple things in here at the very beginning. I'm going to call this as part of our grid, and one is our spiritual life, and one is our educational life. We do not have the skills, and that's why I'm putting this in as to me, 2 very important things. They're not normally thought of when you think of the grid, but to me, that's you know, where do you go to church? I'll bet it's not next door. I'll bet it's not within walking distance. So you're cut off spiritually also. Even if you were all at home, you're all sleeping, you're cut off spiritually. Educationally, you don't know what to do in this situation. We've gone from the information age to through the industrial age, back to the agricultural age, and we don't know how to live like that. Does anybody have any horses? Where you can get from here to there? Are you on your own farm where you can do this? We don't know how to do that. Okay, here's the other part that's going to quickly go bad. Your water is going to not go from your tap. It may have power to go there for a little while. Within a week, your water is going to stop. You're not going to get water from your tap. Your food, which comes from all over the place, and let's admit it, you know, we get it from California, we get it from Florida, here in Michigan, we get it from all over the place. That's gone. Transportation has stopped. Even if you had trucks that worked on the West Coast and they wanted to get it to you, they can only get so far because those gas stations do not pump gas anymore, so they can only go so far. Food is going to be an immediate problem. Communication, a problem. Your cell phones don't work. If you have a landline at home, it doesn't work. Transportation, I've mentioned. You have to make a decision, the next thing, whether you're going to shelter in your house or whether you're going to bug out. That's an important decision. All of your safety issues, uh, including your health issues, are no longer working. You can't call 911. You break your arm, you're on your own. You better find somebody who knows how to set that arm. Waste disposal. The garbage is going to, just think of cities that have trouble with their waste disposal for a few weeks over some issue. The unions don't want to work anymore because they don't like the contract. Energy. It'd be nice to have alternative energy, but one by one, these things that are in your house are going to break down. Finances. Well, about 90+%, some say as much as 98% or 99% of our money gets transferred electronically. A check is an electronic function, if you want to think about it. A credit card certainly is, but you know what? Money's not going to be worth anything. You could break open that ATM, get hundreds of dollars. People are going to say, "What is this?" It's paper. And then the last thing in our infrastructure, the government is going to go immediately to martial law. They should. But what are they going to do in martial law? Nobody knows. It has never been set up. I think it is being set up, to be honest, but I'll bet we're not going to like it. So what I'd like is I'd like people to comment back to me. I am going to give you an email address saying EMP, and then I want you to use one of these words that I gave you: spiritual, educational, water, food, communication, transportation, shelter, safety, waste, energy, financial, government. Please get with me. I'll give you my email address in a minute. But let me explain a few things. First, I think we have to say to ourselves, this is not just me. If we do not do this as a community, we're going to kill each other. And this 9 out of 10 is going to be a fact. And so, folks, Christians, especially I'm speaking to right now, love God, love your neighbor. You make just as much plans for your neighbor as you do for yourself. I do have some specifics I'm going to give you, but that'll be another video. And let me talk about the three main methodologies. It's connected to what I just said. When we have a problem and we can't seem to solve it, and it needs to be solved by a lot of people, we either go toward three systems. One is collectivism, very popular in our society. More and more, we're just 51% is telling the 49% how to live. We put together a collective, and whoever wins, everybody has to win that way. We have radical individualism, and this is the people, and you know you've seen this. These are the preppers that are saying, "Me and mine, I'm getting my gun. Nobody's going to do this." But you know what? There's people all over the place who have guns, and that's not going to work. You do have to love your neighbor. Or the third option, so we have collectivism, individualism, and the third option is community. So my prayer and my desire is that we would get together as a community and plan these things out. Sort of a civil service thing. There's civil service things in the past, but I'm going to suggest that the church would take the lead in this one. Let me tell you why. In the Bible, and I'll develop this some other time, in the Bible there's four great authorities. There's the church, the state, the family, and the business community. The state has advocated on this. They either can't do it or won't do it, or it's somewhere in the background and we don't know what it is. The family, okay, that's fine. You should take care of your family, but you know what? If you have, for instance, just food, if you have a year's worth of food, I'll bet it's going to last you about a month, because I'll bet someone's going to break into your house when they discover that you have food, and it's that's all there is to it. And you may lose your life. You may have your food, but you may lose your life. You think you can go against several people, and because you have enough guns, you have training in how to attack people or how to defend yourself. That's not going to happen. It has to be a community. And so that is my emphasis. Everybody has to live. Whatever plans we make, the plans include everybody lives. And so that's, I think, the big thing I have seen in a lot of these types of videos. And boy, there's a lot of respectable stuff out there concerning this. But the big problem I see is that it has to be a community activity. This has to be, I love myself, I love my neighbor. It has to be like that, or else it's going to be myself against my neighbor. And if you think you can survive, I'll bet you can't. If it's going to be me against the world, it's going to be the world that's going to come and get you. So, four great authorities: church, state, family, business community. The business community will respond to whatever it is that we want to buy. They will respond to that eventually, but the one I think that really needs to knuckle down on this thing is the church, the body of believers, and so let's go that direction. I will be developing a website. By the way, I don't know how to do that. I will be developing a store. I think most of the things that I'm going to suggest that you buy, you're probably not going to buy from me, but there will be some things, and I will be developing that. Don't know how to do that. You can probably tell by the quality of the lighting. I notice I'm not pleased with the lighting on this thing. I don't know how to do videos. But listen, contact me. Put as a title EMP and then one of those subjects that I gave you, and send it to terry@hedge-harvest.com, terry@hedge-harvest.com. Hedge-harvest will be my website. It's pathetic right now. It is the middle of February, and I hope to get that going. But folks, we can do this. I know we can do this. I've been in situations. I'll tell you eventually why I know we can do this. But I've been in situations where somebody says, just beyond hope, and you know what? It's I've always come up with something, and people don't always take my advice, but you know, within a year to 5 years, they will discover that my advice was correct. Usually 90%. And it's not that I never make mistakes, but that has been something that's worked with me. Let me give you. I want to give you a few verses. Whenever you come across a problem, you confer with God, you confer with man, you bring order to your own individual life, and then you train others. Confer with God. Deuteronomy 4:29. If from there you seek the Lord your God, then you'll find him if you seek him with all your heart and soul. Or Matthew 6:33 through 34. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. All these things will be added to you. Therefore, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own problem. Confer with men. Proverbs 15:22. Without counsel, purposes are disappointed, but in the multitude of counselors, they are established. That's why I'm asking for help right now. I do have some ideas. I'm not even going to present them right now, but I want counsel. And what I'd like to do, by the way, is I would like to send those people who are interested in this subject an email once a month. And once a month, no more, no less. And once a month, I'll give you the suggestions of where I think this probably needs to be done. Also, confer with man. A wise man is full of strength. This is from Proverbs 24:5 through 6. A wise man is full of strength, and a man of knowledge enhances his might. For by wise guidance you can wage your war, and in abundance of counselors there is victory. Bring order to your own life. 1 Corinthians 14:33, and then I'm going to skip over to verse 40. For God is not a God of confusion, but of peace. Let all things be done decently and in order. Also bring order to your lives. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, open to reason, full of mercy and good fruits, impartial and sincere, and a harvest of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace. That's from James 3:17-18. When you've learned something, you've conferred with God, you've conferred with men, and you brought order, it's appropriate that you train others. And I'm going to give you a verse I like. I'm older now, and so this is comes to mind to me every once in a while. Psalm 71:18. So even at old age and gray hairs, O God, do not forsake me until I proclaim your might to another generation, your power to those who come. We bring the good things we have to the next generation or to others. Daniel 12:3 says, and they shall be wise, and they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they shall turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. I believe the church can shine in this area if we choose to be wise. Now let me tell you one of the reasons I think we can reboot the infrastructure. I was studying Genesis 1, God's creation of the universe, and I came across the idea that God first created the infrastructure and then created the things for the infrastructure. First was the forming, then was the filling, using Genesis 1:2. The first, the earth was formless and empty. So we needed forming and we needed filling. We needed. So let me give you, and this is my notes are just terrible. Wouldn't it be nice if this was pretty? But this is my notes right here. You can look at it in a second. Stop it if you need to look at this. But day 1 was light. God said, "Let there be light." Day 4, that's the forming. Day 4 that connects with it is lights. On day 4, the sun, moon, and the stars were made. Day 2, water was mentioned, air was mentioned. Water and air were separated. Day 5, the water and air animals were created. Day 3, the land came up. Vegetation came on the land. So we have land and vegetation. And guess what we have in day 6? We have land animals, land-dwelling animals that at that point were vegetarians. So you see, first God creates the infrastructure and then he fills the infrastructure. God can do this again. God, by the way, led 600,000 men alone through the wilderness for 40 years. Now that's 600,000 times 2 for the women. There were men above that age and below that age that were not of military age. And then there were children. How many people was that? It might have been as many as 5 million people. God led 5 million people through the wilderness for 40 years. God can do this. I got to tell you. And I have some more notes on some other things that I've noticed that God the Creator has done. I'm going to put that in my website. Many things to talk about. Many things. For now, goodbye. You've got my email address. Write to me. Looking forward to it.